Boom. Welcome back to First Take. The Eagles have found their fifth offensive coordinator in 5 years, naming Sean Mannion the OC going forward. Mannion was an offensive assistant and quarterbacks coach the past 2 seasons for the Packers. He was an active player in the NFL for 9 years prior to that. Now, he's just 33 years old. He has never been a play caller, but the expectation is that he's going to bring the Eagles and their offense back to life. Do you like this hire, or do you think this was a mistake going with someone who doesn't have a lot of experience?
I don't think I'm itching as much as this guy is. You all right over there?
Are you good, S.A.? Go ahead. You go ahead, S.A.
First of all, congratulations to Sean Mannion, okay? Quarterbacks coach in Green Bay last year. Obviously assisted Jordan Love in having a decent season. I get it. I understand that part. And I'm not trying, I hate being this cynical, RC, this skeptical about a hire, because it's not because of anything pertaining to his capability. He's considered to be some rising star in the business. Fine, no problem. That makes perfect sense. I got that. But these are the Eagles we're talking about. So I want Sean Mannion to know, congratulations, wishing you nothing but the best. Everybody believes you're a rising star, and I hope it proves true. And thus far, you're doing your thing. Congratulations to you. It's not that he doesn't deserve this opportunity. The issue is not him. It's the Eagles. They have fired the last 2 people they've plucked from nowhere to be first-year offensive coordinators. You're looking at Brian Johnson in 2023, fired after his first season. Kellen Moore comes on board in 2024, helps them capture Super Bowl. He ends up getting the head coaching job in New Orleans, all right? Then you go back to that route, and Kevin Patullo is fired in his first season, okay? So 2 of your last 3 coordinators was guys you plucked from relative obscurity that didn't really have that much experience, if any at all, as offensive coordinators, and you brought them in, and look what happened. I'm like, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, why would you do that? Why is that the way to go? Why couldn't you go and get somebody that's more experienced schematically, that's been around the league, that's seen so many things, that had offensive play calling responsibilities? Because Nick Sirianni ain't the greatest offensive play caller in the world. Yes, he takes over those duties from time to time, but he's basically been like a CEO, being deferential to his offensive coordinators. You need somebody a bit more experienced, simply because of the personnel that you have and the problems that you've had. Because, I don't want to use the word optics, but perception definitely matters. A guy comes in there, RC, and he's relatively inexperienced. The second things go awry, especially if you keep A.J. Brown there, it's going to be an immediate reason to be skeptical about how this season is going to go. And that's the kind of task, and I don't know why they would put themselves in a position for that to be a problem again. Again, it's nothing against Sean Mannion. I wish him nothing but the best. I mean, maybe he's going to be terrific, and all of this is null and void. But I'm just saying, based on the Eagles' history, if I'm Eagles fans, I've got a raised eyebrow on this move, and I'm pretty skeptical about it.
So here, I don't have a problem with Sean Mannion being hired, and I'll tell you why after I say Eagles fans and the organization should have a problem with it. Because why isn't this job more coveted by experienced offensive minds? Let's look at the hiring of Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. These were both individuals that were elevated from the staff of the Philadelphia Eagles. Sean Mannion is different. Here is why you look at Sean Mannion and say that he could help, he could work. Look at the progression of Malik Willis, who came from Tennessee, who was someone that was considered a bust, a quarterback people didn't think could be a starter. He's going to be one of the hotter free agents this year because of some of the things we watched with him. Now, you also have to realize that Coach Stoyanovich was the actual offensive coordinator there while Matt LaFleur called plays. So Sean Mannion will have to get some of the art and the science that is play calling. Now let's think about the Philadelphia Eagles and why you should be concerned. Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers when you hired him. You saw how that worked. Your team goes to a Super Bowl. He goes off to Indianapolis. When you hire Kellen Moore, he had been the offensive coordinator in Dallas. He was the offensive coordinator in Los Angeles. You hire him, team goes to the Super Bowl, he gets a job. My issue is, why can't you now get those sort of people to have interest in your job? When you have a Super Bowl MVP, you have an all-pro wide receiver, you have a 1B wide receiver that's as good as any, and you have the offensive player of the year in Saquon Barkley with dogs on the offensive line. The issue now is the perception of this job ain't as good as everybody thought it was going to be. And to me, Stephen A., that's a bigger issue than Sean Mannion, because I do believe there's some foundations and principles there for him where he could be a good play caller.
I think we're saying the same thing two different ways, because I'm not pointing the finger at Sean Mannion at all. I'm saying it's because of the Eagles that you're worried about this hire. So what you just highlighted just basically accentuated my point.
Yeah, for sure.
There's just extra eyeballs on any coordinator position when it comes to the Philadelphia.
Has shown us the Eagles offensive coordinator either gets fired after the year or becomes a head coach after the year. This guy has never called plays in his life. So by logic, is it fair to say that Sean Mannion is now the hottest candidate for the 2027 coaching cycle, head coaching cycle, and potentially about to get fired? And he has not coached a game yet.
Very fair take.
It is. Interesting.
If we're looking at the history of the position, as you just said, you either get elevated to be a head coach because you did an awesome job, or you're going to get fired after a season because they have the talent in place and you didn't maximize it. So, yeah, I can absolutely see it going one way or the other, especially for someone like Sean Mannion, who obviously is a fast-rising star. A lot of people think that he is a bright offensive mind. People want to be the first one in on somebody like that. They want to identify the next Sean McVay. And if he goes to the Eagles and after a disastrous season with Kevin Patullo, he turns things around and that offense gets rolling again and they become a force and potentially get back to the Super Bowl, you don't think that some team that's down on their luck and maybe is drafting a quarterback or needs the offense to click into place isn't going to say, well, let's take that guy. Let's be early on Sean Mannion. And also, by the way, when I was saying that the Miami Dolphins were trying to turn their franchise into Lambeau South, you laughed and said, why? But it seems like there's been a drain in Green Bay, not only in the front office, but within the coaching staff, too. So maybe you want to shift your stance there? Because clearly there's a lot of smart and bright and talented people.
Have you seen the reactions to Jeff Hafley's staff? Have you seen the reactions?
Well, Nathaniel Hackett people are not excited about.
You don't say. Have you seen, I mean, some of the reactions to the staff they're building in Miami is very sad.
I'm just telling.
I'm not saying the coaches are sad. I'm saying the fan base is sad based on this is not getting us excited. Now, I'm sure if you look back at some of the early staffs and some of the great coaches, a lot of people are like, who are these people? They emerged to being great stars. So I'm not saying that Hafley is going to do a bad job, nor am I saying his staff is going to do a bad job. But I will say this one feels different because I've seen Packers fans upset about this because they wanted to keep this guy. Why? Because LaFleur calls all the plays, and they think something needs to change. And if this guy's that good, maybe you let him call the plays or give him some play calling, keep him there, promote him, and maybe you have a guy that could help. They never said that about Hafley. Nobody was upset, seemingly, that Hafley was gone.
Cece, I have something for you. So when the Eagles initially started that search and you were hearing names like Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, you were thinking, okay, Kevin Patullo came in, first year on the job, calling plays. You always said you can give somebody the same brushes and the same colors. It doesn't mean they can paint the picture. And a lot of these names we were hearing experienced in that role. We thought maybe they were going to go back that way, even though Nick Sirianni has done it in the past and he could always step in. But what do you make of the fact that they went with somebody who, yet again, is going to be a novice at that particular part of the job?
Well, I would have to know more information, but from what it feels like is that the candidates that could have potentially been interested in that job, that interviewed for that job, decided based on the current dynamics, the state of affairs in Philadelphia, they didn't want to go that route. So I think it's fascinating to know, and maybe we'll get the answer as time moves on and we start to see more, but which party ends up deciding that they don't want to pursue the opportunity? Is it Brian Daboll? Is it Mike McDaniel not wanting to be involved with the Philadelphia Eagles based on the state of affairs? Or did the Eagles as an organization decide, hey, we want to go the route of this young, unproven coach because we believe in his upside? I'd be fascinated to know. The thing that makes it interesting, though, is that it seems like there's a sense of urgency in Philadelphia to take advantage of this window that they've created with this current core of players and to go with somebody that's never been a play caller and only has 2 years experience as an NFL coach, period. That's a huge risk to take.
Is it automatic that if you're a quarterback, you have an ability to call plays or no?
No. Play calling is art, not science. And it takes a while to develop the skills in order to be able to do it.
But are they ahead of everyone else?
Sure,
upon the start?
Sure, because of how they see the game. It's kind of like a catcher in baseball, right? You see the game a certain way, it lends itself to being able to manage the game.
Okay.
So, yeah, quarterbacks have a leg up when it comes to that. But just because you played quarterback in the NFL or you held a clipboard on the sideline as a quarterback in the NFL doesn't mean you'll be able to step into that job and be successful. It just doesn't guarantee that. And I guess that's the bigger point that I'm trying to make. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, do you have time with this core of players to be experimenting? Or do you need to go with somebody that is more proven in the role?
So is it more likely in 2027 that Sean Mannion, new offensive coordinator for the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, we still have to say it that way because they're still yet a champion, obviously, this year. Is it more likely that Sean Mannion is a head coach next year or fired after this year?
Man,
I know it's more likely he has a second year.
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Me too.
Just because I want to be glass half full when it comes to this. So let's fingers crossed, hope this thing works out, because that would be the pattern with offensive coordinators. It works out, doesn't work out, works out, doesn't work out. So this one hopefully will work. But, I mean, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, that's an uncomfortable pattern to be cycling through for your franchise quarterback. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make is you're hoping that you hit on Sean Mannion, but was Sean Mannion the guy that you needed to risk it all for, given the fragility of everything that we've seen in Philadelphia in recent years?
Are you going to be glass half full with the Eagles like Cece is here?
Well, yeah, because it's my guy from Green Bay that's coming over.
So you're going to have the bias in there.
No, but we're talking about how much pressure. Well, you said there's not as much pressure now in Buffalo, but in these certain organizations with these decisions, these hiring decisions, the pressure that's on their shoulders now. Philly clearly has the talent to compete. They have the most expensive roster in the NFL. We know the defense was obviously not the issue last year. It was the offense. And they finished 19th in points per game, 24th in total offense, and first in 3-and-outs. And you're giving the reins with this roster to somebody who's never done it before. It's a bold decision. It's a high risk, high reward type of decision, but they have a finite window to get back and try to maximize the talent that they've collected on this roster.
He might be the next Sean McVay, so I don't want to.
He could be.
Exactly. So I don't want to cast aspersions on Sean Mannion. But was this really the best that you could do? Was this really the best that you could do? And if it was, then there's a bigger conversation that's there to be had about the state of affairs with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Coming up, we got 4 downs. There is no on-field football. There's Pro Bowl games this week, but we are a week